All right, so yes, part two. For those of you who saw part one, we didn't really talk about the comparison. Sorry about that. I'm all jumbled this morning. But yeah, if you're interested in the comparison, here it is. So we're talking about, um, or more or less talk about the RCB versus call auto locking batons in general. The Peacekeeper RCB, expandable baseball bat, as it's been affectionately called in the not private security, within the public safety sphere, within the public safety industry, because I'm lumping law enforcement security into one. The Peacekeeper is basically essentially known as an expendable baseball bat. So let's talk. And I'm going to have a Red Bull. So, pardon me here. My peach Red Bull. So yeah, let's talk about this comparison. I've got the Google Doc in front of y'all. So again, all right. So one thing that I didn't put in this document that I actually want to talk about, the main reason why I left ASP batons, I retired my ASP Talon. Well, actually, I didn't retire my ASP Talon by choice. It was in an apartment fire. And pretty much when I had my apartment fire, I didn't really get another baton after my fire. I didn't replace the ASP. Because what I ended up doing was, for those of you who saw the previous video, basically me chatting on the Peacekeeper, I used that much shorter ASP agent baton as my duty baton for a bit. When the agent baton is meant for close protection, executive protection, plain clothes, work in law enforcement, and private security, um, UC undercover work, plain clothes work, um, yeah, it's meant the agent baton series is meant to be low profile. So I carry it nowadays in a discontinued Bianchi pouch that I bought secondhand. Um, the main reason why I had to buy that secondhand is because yes, it's a discontinued product, but it's an IWB. For those of you who aren't familiar with concealed carry acronyms, IWB is inside the waistband. So you have your IWB versus your OWB, your outside the waistband holsters. So IWB is normally meant for like your appendix carrier, concealed carry inside your pants, etc. OWB is you know that's what you see everybody using. Safari lands, alien gear, outside the waistband, open carry, duty holsters. And again, I'm going to stress this even though I'm kind of sidetracked from the topic. Friends, if you're going to outside the waistband carry, please, for the love of God, have active retention features, i.e., Safari Land or Alien Gear, for context. Those are the type of holsters we should be using in public safety. Fuck Blackhawk. Sorry, Harold. Well, with an asterisk there about the hell with Blackhawk. Their newer holsters are okay. I'm more Serpa. Please don't use Serpas. Anyways, okay. Batons. Off track there. So yeah, I used the agent baton for a time as my uniform baton, as my duty baton when I post fire, and then we got the Peacekeeper, and I've been with Peacekeeper ever since. Now, Mike, why did you let's go Peacekeeper? All right, so let's flash forward to when I got my ASP credential. Um, you know what? I'm gonna upload my certificates in real time just because I can. So while I'm talking, we're gonna do some stuff on our phones. So pardon me, I won't be looking at the camera. So Mike, why did you leave ASP batons in your past, so to speak? That's a good question, viewer. So we're flashing back to when I first got my ASP AIC credential. I was going through that ASP baton course. I did have my full-size Talon baton back then, so that's what I entered the baton course with. Now, and you know what? I'm actually going to show you guys, just because I'm an open book, I'm going to show you guys my apartment fire. I'm going to show you guys the carnage. um, so, when I had my class, um, I saw 4 asp batons bend and break. In the ASP instructor course, I saw 4 of their own batons bend and or break. So that led me to think, oh fuck this. I'm gonna be looking for other alternatives. And then I happened to come upon the Peacekeeper, which was a shitload more stout, etc. Everything I love about that baton, and I went, okay, that's gonna be what I like. That's gonna be what I use. So that's what I've used ever since then. When I saw 4 of ASP's own batons bend and break in their own instructor course, and I saw those batons replaced at no cost to the instructor candidate, I basically said I need to find a new baton because I saw all of these batons bend and break, and I do not like that. So I ended up doing some baton research, found out there's only like 3 or 4 major baton manufacturers out on the market, and that's when I decided to go Peacekeeper. I hope I'm not waking room. I'm not hope I'm not waking my roommate up because I'm making this at 2:30 a.m. and I just heard a door close. I digress. So yeah, all right. Sorry guys. All right, so let's get sidetracked from this document that's been in front of you for a second, even though I know I haven't gotten to that. So let's go into my Google Drive because I just uploaded stuff as I was talking. All right, so how do I get to? Never mind. I'm smarticle. All right, I don't know when. I don't know what document is what, so I apologize in advance. Okay, that's my apartment. That's my apartment. Jesus Christ. Okay. All right, so just for proof that I know what I'm talking about, here's my pepper spray instructor credential. I'm a pepper spray instructor for basically another year. Full disclosure, I took this course online. The next course, it can either take it online or I could take it in person. Now, for those of you who are aware, for those of you who have stuck by me in the past, y'all know I was born with asthma. Okay, thank God, Saber nowadays makes it so you don't have to be exposed to OC to requalify as instructor. Now, in the back of my archives, so to speak, I do have a video when I worked for a company that everybody knows and loves in Las Vegas. I say that half sarcastically, half jokingly, because they are a good company. When I was an employee for Protective Force International, I had to get sprayed. So, in my archive, so to speak, I have a video of me talking after I got sprayed. So I have that video for a reason. Proof I've been sprayed. Because I will never fucking be sprayed again. That's also partly why I haven't gone law enforcement, even though a lot of people say you're just as credentialed to go LE. Yes, I am. And yes, I could probably teach a good majority of a post academy, at least as far as less lethal goes. But I, for the love of God, don't want to get sprayed again. So call me a pussy. I own being a pussy, sure. I just refuse to be sprayed again. So I have that video in my archives to say, yeah, I've been sprayed. You're not doing that to me again. I'm sorry. I was born with asthma. Immediately after, I ended up on my ass. As the spray takes effect, I was on my ass. So I don't want to go through that experience again. But yes, I am a saber pepper spray instructor. That is my credential. I'm also a saber 68 caliber less lethal munitions instructor. That was a very fun course. You can go into my YouTube archives. You could go through my channel and search my videos. I made a YouTube video specifically on the Saber 68 launcher right after I did this class. So that launcher course, I'm certified as a pepperball instructor until 26. It's a 3-year course. Because my pepper spray instructor course was online, the online course is only good for 2 years. So that's 25. Because I took a 68 course in person, it's good for 3 years. So 2 versus 3. I'll get to that. I'll get to that. I'll get to that. I'll get to that. Taser. I am an Axon law enforcement instructor with a caveat. You'll notice the date is 12/3 of 23. Technically, I should have expired. But, you guys can't read that. But, because Taser/Axon froze training from January of this year until March of this year, they extended everybody through June. So I am signed up for a course in June for a renewal class. I'm driving down to Moore Park, California at the Covered 6 offices. And this is going to be a longer video. I tried so very hard to cut my time down, but Okay, let's not do the video of me with my, or the photo of me with my leg. Let's do the actual. All right, so yes, I am an ASP AIC credentialed instructor. I am instructor 52169, and my class was in 2021. So I've been an instructor for going on 3 years now. Now, just for giggles, this is what my apartment. I had an electrical fire. An air fryer spontaneously combusted while I was actually at my very first ever day as a federal government contractor. While I was with the FAA, this was day one training of the FAA. A air fryer detonated in my apartment basically, and that's the carnage. That was my apartment upstairs. Another kind of wider shot, further shot out. Yep, that's me in my FAA uniform. I wore a gray uniform with American Eagle Services. The friend of mine was with me. All right, so yeah, this video's kind of gone on long enough. Sorry, guys. All right, so let's get to the actual document. So I more or less am using various different forum posts here, and I basically gave a link to those forum posts, so more or less kind of cite your sources. I have links to these stuff, or to each individual post. So I asked Sean what where he said he got a baton from within one of his lives. Sean is a baton from the Robert Kogan Institute. So I Googled the Koga Institute, and it seems like they don't sell batons anymore. So I found the only two baton manufacturers that basically manufacture straight stick wooden batons that I at least was able to find within my research for this video that is basically been a long time coming. So let's get to the forum posts. Are you using this baton for duty or hobby? Because this specific forum post was about, hey, I want my son to have a baton, etc. All right, well, that's fine. Duty or hobby? I used an ass repeatedly once in a very combative suspect. He told me to fuck off, and I broke my hand to pieces in that fight. Because of that fight, the forum poster bought a Koga Wood straight stick, and that did it for him on duty. For collapsibles, the Peacekeeper is the minimum that should be carried. Another poster says, generally speaking, the best batons look a lot like Streamlight SL20s. So essentially, a Streamlight SL20, think of it as your modern mag light, or the HL5X on my duty belt. That's more or less a modern mag light. It can be used as an improvised baton as a last ditch impact weapon. So another poster thinks the Peacekeeper is just the best baton ever. I agree. But this poster goes into detail saying one of the most useful things he learned was to stick the strike. For some reason, the concept of hitting a baton 2 inches deep on a subject and letting it lay for a moment made a real difference and felt impact. The poster thinks it's got to do with folks pulling the strike at impact to cop back for the next strike. So, for context, the ASP when ASP teaches in the AIC course is when you draw your baton goes on your shoulder. Eh. Now my baton is loaded. My baton is loaded on my shoulder. So what a lot of people say is you strike somebody and then you cock it back for the next strike. Now, ASP teaches what I call the X strike. It's a double strike. So more or less from the shoulder, 1, 2, or 1, 2. Because I'm kind of exaggerating it. It's not from the other. You're not going from one to the other shoulder for two. It's just 1, 2. But obviously, I'm exaggerating it for YouTube. It's from my left shoulder, from my dominant shoulder. It's 1 from the other shoulder, 2. You're forming an X for that double strike. So that poster thinks what a lot of people are doing is as soon as they strike, they're cocking the baton back for the next strike, which really doesn't give much energy impact, energy transfer, which causes you to have to, say, use an ASP 6, 8 times over. And I'm kind of jumping ahead in comments. One commenter accurately stated, for 6 to 8 ASP strikes, it's basically the equivalent of one freaking Peacekeeper strike. And I agree with that. So, but we'll go back to these comments. Generally, law enforcement are trained to strike large muscle mass areas and avoid joints. Yes. Um, Generally speaking, your green and red zones and such for batons are more or less the meatier areas. The green areas are the meatier areas of the human body. In upcoming videos, I'll get into the more or less the baton anatomy. And honestly, I trust my baton more than I do a taser or OC. But that's me personally, and that's another video. I just basically wanted to put that out there, and I'll explain my methodology. I'll explain my methods in upcoming videos because I actually like batons, and I know it goes against the grain a little bit, but I do like batons. But anyways, we'll continue on these comments. Generally, police are trained to strike large muscle mass areas and avoid joints. The Koga method is the only one I'm familiar with that really used the butt end of the baton, the the handle, the butt, to aggressively strike. Although the PR-24 did use jabs to deflate in conjunction with other techniques. Now, before I continue, my father was doing private security in California at the time of when PR-24 was the end all be all. I need to get a 24. I need to get a 24 for my arsenal just for historical reasons. I don't feel like I'll ever carry it, but I want one just because I want to know what all the hubbub was about. I'm kind of curious. So, sidetracking from the video real fast, I think I'm going to look into getting a 24 in the near future, just because I'm a curious person. I digress. So, I have various articles that I will link in the description for your viewing pleasure, for your reading pleasure. This video is more or less just talking about these comments that I basically gathered in this article. The Peacekeeper RCB is guaranteed for life and has all the weight in the tip end instead of the handle. It seems to make sense that this would help take the fight out of the bad guy quicker, i.e., that energy transfer that I was talking about earlier. Plus, they should not bend. Again, I saw 4 ASP batons break in my instructor course, and the on-site ASP representative had to replace those batons. What was cool about that representative, though, was he replaced the batons at no cost to the instructor candidate. So, I just dropped the ASP. So, yeah, that was cool of that on-site representative. But again, I saw 4 of ASP's own batons bend/break in their own instructor course. 4. That's what made me go, okay, I gotta get something else. I'm gonna go through this course, but I don't trust to carry an asp after I saw four of their own stuff bend break in their own class. To top it off, the Peacekeeper's holster is designed to hold a baton even if it's inverted. Yes, the Rota holster that I showed in part one does does do that. It will retain even in um, inverted 180 formation. And if you have it expanded, you can still put it in the holster, and it holds just like the old ring holder would a 24. Again, I showed you guys the open-endedness. Yeah, if you expand it, you can still put it in the holster. Now, taking it out of the holster expanded though, that's that's a sight. I'll have to do that for you guys in a video sometime soon. Somebody goes, yes, go buy a Peacekeeper now. I wouldn't trust any other baton. I have the 24-inch nickel version, and I would recommend to get the nickel. Peacekeeper actually replaced the original one I had that was black. After busting out a window or two, the finish got all jacked up on my black one and it wouldn't close reliably. It wasn't, this is me adding my own stuff in. It wasn't the finish that made them replace it. It wasn't the finish getting messed up. It was the fact that it wouldn't close reliably. So the shafts were iffy. So they replaced that baton at no cost um, to the officer. They replaced it without any problems. Great CS customer service. As far as using the baton goes, it works great. I've been on calls where it's only taken 1 to 2 strikes to gain compliance instead of the ASP, where you can wail on someone until your arm falls off. The Peacekeeper for our agency is now the standard issue for new recruits, and all of our defensive tactics DT instructors have the Peacekeeper certification. Peacekeeper instructors are very far and few between. They only do a couple classes a year. They actually have an upcoming course coming up for me in the Reno area, Northern Nevada. So I'm actually thinking about becoming a Peacekeeper instructor. That's what I carry nowadays, so I figure I should become a Peacekeeper instructor. ASP tactics are great, and I love the ASP tactics that ASP teaches. They teach 3 to 4 different strikes, so they're easy to remember. I could still reliably teach, even though I showed you guys my instructor credential. I took my instructor course 3, 4 years ago. I still remember my strikes. They only teach 3 to 4 strikes. To whereas like you go to Monadnock and Monadnock teaches like 20 strikes or some crazy number. It's like you're not going to remember all of that. ASP teaches like 3 or 4 at most. Well, it's either 3 or 4, or 4 at most. ASP teaches very few strikes, so it's easier for me to have that in my brain. I still remember my strikes reliably. But yes, for this agency, the Peacekeeper is now the standard issue. Very good product by a great company. The Peacekeeper is heavy-duty steel tubing. Most of the weight is in the top half, not the handle, so it's properly balanced, unlike the ASP. The Peacekeeper is the closest thing to a cocoa or ironwood straight stick, i.e. the cocoa wood that Sean talked about in one of his lives. Now here's some stuff that I took directly from Peacekeeper themselves. The end piece, I think they're talking about either the handle or I think the end piece would be your distal end, the striking end, and I have to screw in my distal end on this agent. The end piece is milled from a block of steel and solid instead of the hollow pieces ASP uses. Yeah, so if you were to able to cut away an ASP baton, the end piece is empty, it's hollow. Whereas unlike with the Peacekeeper, it's solid. It's filled in. If you were to cut away, it's filled in. One strike from the Peacekeeper is basically the equivalent of 6 to 8 strikes of an ASP. So ASP is 6 to 8 strikes equals 1 strike from an RCB. All of the weight's in the tip instead of the handle. After a 10-month study funded by the NIJ, so this was actually a legit DOJ, Department of Justice, National Institute of Justice. I've talked about the NIJ before, my body armor series. After a 10-month NIJ-funded study, the study done by the NIJ themselves, the Peacekeeper baton outperformed all other impact weapons, including straights, sides, 24s, and other expandables, Monadnock, etc. Unlike other expandables which have been moved to the back of the belt or removed altogether, we're starting to see a new trend where officers are pulling out the Peacekeeper baton first to minimize any escalation. So they're brandishing a Peacekeeper first before any other less lethal implements are used, and that's normally enough for somebody to go, nah, I'm good, no thanks. The Peacekeeper has a patented joint lock design, which is the largest friction lock of any other expandable baton, which reduces invert and collapsing. Combined with a larger tip, you have the ability to strike or jab with the baton without it collapsing in the middle of an altercation. I have seen that with ass batons from coworkers of mine who've used batons on duty. I have seen their batons inadvertently collapse basically into their subject as they're striking, and it'll just the baton will just close itself. Basically, it'll close itself into your subject as you're doing your job. But yeah. All right, guys. So this video's gone on 20-ish minutes, long enough. I'm just gonna drop the link into the. I'm gonna drop the link into this Google. I'm gonna drop the link to this Google Doc inside of the description, and at the same time, all of the links inside of this document, I will drop as well. So without further ado, this is basically your comparison between the Peacekeeper and other brands. I talk on ASP a lot. I pick on ASP a lot because I am an ASP instructor. But more or less, this is just a video series of me informing you trying to inform you folks, why I think the way I do, why I think this is a good baton, more or less just trying to be as neutral as possible. But yes, I did leave ASP for reasons I hope I got across coherently enough. I don't feel like I articulated myself well here. Full size, sorry. I don't feel like I articulated myself here. So I hope as we go through this baton series and these next upcoming videos, that things will become more clear for y'all. If I didn't do a good job in these two videos, but yeah, that's all I have for y'all. Mike here, Professional Security Journal. Y'all stay safe out there. Take it easy. Take pride in our profession. All y'all do. Please stay situationally aware and stay vigilant. And other than that, I'll see y'all next video. Just take it easy, friends.